In this video, we're going to look at using the dimension tool in our sketches and what it means to fully constrain a sketch and make sure that Fusion knows everything it needs to know about your various design elements. So I'm here in a blank design. I'm going to start a sketch. I'm going to put it on the floor here, and we'll just start with a simple rectangle. If I don't put in dimensions to start, if I just click and close it, it does not take any dimensions. It assumes that if I haven't typed in a number, I didn't really mean that precisely. So if I want to add a specific size to these, I have to use the dimension tool and tell it what it is. This is the dimension tool here. D is the shortcut key. So get used to that one because you're going to use it a lot. So I'm going to press D. And if I want to just tell it the size of something, like a side, I click on the side, I move up, and I click to place the dimension, and then I give it a value. So in this case, I want it to be 4 inches, and then I'm going to grab this side, and I'm going to make that one 4 inches as well. I can move those dimensions around, right? And I can double click to change them. If I wanted to make that 5 inches, there it is. I'm going to put it back to a perfect square. When you want to do a dimension that involves 2 elements, there's an extra click to be done. So one of the things that we want is to also tell Fusion where something's supposed to be. Right now, these lines are blue on the edges, which means that there is information about them that Fusion still doesn't have. So it knows that the sides are 4 inches. Because it was a rectangle, it knows that these edges are horizontal and these are vertical, so it knows the angles between these. It has all that determined, but it doesn't really know where it's supposed to be. I want to center it around the origin. That'll give me an opportunity to use some tools easily, like the mirror tool later on. So I want the distance between this side and that origin to be half the length of this side, right? So if this is 2 inches from the origin, then it's centered vertically across the origin. So what I do is with my dimension tool on, you can see the icon of the mouse still shows that dimension tool, and it's highlighted up here, so I'm still in it. So I'm going to click the side, and it looks like I'm trying to redimension the side, but I'm not done. I'm also going to click the origin, and now it knows that I'm showing the distance between. My third click is to place the value, and then I'm going to type in that 2. I want to do the same thing left and right horizontally, so I click an edge, I click the origin, I click a third time to place it, and again I want it 2. Notice the edges have now turned black. That means that it knows everything about this that it wants, and it is fully constrained now. There's a problem though. We want to plan our design with change in mind. Somebody's going to come along and say, no, this has to be 5 by 5. And if I do that and I change this to 5 and I change this to 5, it is no longer centered around the origin. It's just 2 inches from this corner in each direction. But I can have Fusion do math inside the dimensions for me. So what I really want this one to be is not 2 inches, but half of this dimension, right? So while I'm inside of this one, I'm about to change it. I could type a new value. I'm going to click on this one. So it says D2. If I hover over this one, I can see that it is D2. And I do /2. So it's dimension 2 divided by 2. And I hit return. And it shows that with this f of x is 2.5. I'm going to do the same thing here, only I want it to be off of this one, and divide that one by 2. And now it is again centered. If I change these, it goes back, right? I can change them by a lot, and it still is centered, and that is all set. There's one more thing about the dimension tool I want to show you today, and that is the idea of a driven dimension. If you try to create a dimension that Fusion already has rules for, then it's going to complain. I know that this side is 4, and because of the nature of the rectangle, that means that this side is 4 too. If I try to create that dimension anyway, it gives me this message and says, over-constrained sketch. This dimension would over-constrain the sketch. Create a driven dimension instead. What that means is you can't define a rule that contradicts another rule, or you just can't have two rules to create the same thing, right? So it's willing to show it without it being definitive, right? Without it actually saying what it's going to be, it describes what it is. That's what a driven dimension is. So if I cancel, it won't do anything. But if I say create driven, it's going to show it and just show it in parentheses, which means there is no changing it, right? But if I change it over here, 5, enter, it's going to adjust what this one shows. There are times when that is really valuable. Sometimes it's a variety of factors that makes that dimension defined. And so you might want to show it for simplicity or clarity in your design. I don't need it right now, so I'm just going to delete it. Okay? And that is constraining your sketch kind of at the easiest route. I'm going to fairly quickly show a way to its use in something else. So if I extrude that by 4 inches, so I get my cubish thing here, and I'm going to put a new sketch, just redoing the keyhole here, right? I'm going to create a circle, and this time I'm going to make that circle 3/4 of an inch around, right? And I want it to be centered between these two, and I want it to be 1 inch off the bottom. So the way I can do that is to project and include 3D geometry. Right now it sort of knows about the edges, but not really. If I include 3D geometry and I click on that face, it brings those up and I can use them. So then I can say, gosh, I want to pull this dimension out. It's going to be driven, that's fine. So I know the length of this side, and then I'm going to say this and this need to be half of this apart. So now that's centered perfectly, and then I want this to be maybe 1.5 inches off the bottom, let's say that. I'm still in it, it's just not showing me. Okay, 1.5, enter. And now it's 1.5 inches off the bottom and is centered, and my circle is black on there. I can do that with a rectangle as well. I'm going to create the line there, and I'm going to come up here, right? Excellent. I need this side to be 0.5, I think, and I'll have this size as 1.25 just for good measure. And then I want to say that I'm going to use these constraints here, and I'm going to say that these are colinear. I want this and this and this to all be colinear. So I chose 3 points, and that means that it knows where it's supposed to be vertically, which is why that line is black and that line is black. It knows everything about those that it needs to know, but I could still put it left to right wherever I want. And so I'm going to put this distance to that, between that point and the side, half of this one. So I'm still in my dimension tool. I'll choose it. That to that now is going to be half of that one. And now it's all dimensioned. It's exactly where I want it. If I want to change it, that seems a little high to me, so I'm going to change it to just 1 inch off. And then I'm going to extrude those 3, start pulling it a little bit, change distance to all, and OK. And now that keyhole is perfectly centered. The rectangle is perfectly centered on the circle, and it goes through. It is the exact distance I wanted off the bottom. And that is the way that you use the dimension tool and constraints to make sure that everything is precisely what you want it to be, and that it is well defined. Thanks, y'all.